Hello, my name is Fabio. I have a degree in ICT. I work as a teacher, and in my spare time I like to study projects related to Web3 and also create some tutorials explaining concepts related to coding. In this video, I'm not going to talk to you about blockchain related projects. Rather, I want to cover some coding concepts by solving an exercise using C programming language. Over the next few minutes, I want to talk to you about modularity, enumerated types, and structures. While solving the exercise, I'll also use various other concepts such as arrays and pointers. So, let's go. So, to solve this exercise, we have to understand those three concepts: structure, enumerated, and modularity. Starting with structure, we use that concept when we want to create a new data type. Now we know that we can create a variable that is an integer variable, or a char, or a string, or a float. Okay, and each one of those variables can only have one value. In this case, we are creating a new data type. That in this data type we can create variables, and with those variables we could get several values. We will see that in this exercise. An enumerated is also a new data type, but it's not more than a list of identifiers that works as integers. Okay, so when we create one identifier, it will get one integer value. So the first identifier should have the value 0, the next one value 1, and so on and so on and so on. But if if we want that the first value does not have the value 0, we could appoint them. We could assign a new value instead of 0. At last, the modularity is when we want to create modules. And those modules have two files: an header file and a coding file, an implementation file. So it's a file that have the extension .h, and the other one has the extension .c. The .h file is where you define the structures of data and the functions or procedures that you should want to or you will have to implement in the C file. Okay, you create modules when you have some tasks that are related and should be grouped in one file. Okay, so in this case we are going to I have here a folder. All the files should be in the same folder. Okay, I will open this folder. I will drag this folder to Visual Studio Code. Okay, and now every time that I create a file in here, all the files will be in this folder here. Okay, so the project should work. The first file, it's main.c. We know already the file main.c. Okay, we will include just the primary library, standard input-output library. Okay, and then do our main function. Okay, that's our main file in here. Okay, just zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Okay, now let's see our exercise. We want to store information about books on a library. We will have a maximum of 200 books. First of all, we need to create three methods called getString, getFloat, and getInt. And those methods should have a question in here, and then it will wait for an answer of the user. The user should answer a string, a float, or an integer value. Okay, so to do this, these are tasks that are related. So we are going to create a module to solve those three problems. Okay, So I will call this module methods.h and methods.c. So this is a new module. Okay. First of all, we need to define the macro. Okay. In this case, it's called methods.h and if. What am I doing here? I am checking. It's an if. If not defined the macros that is called methods_h. If this is not defined, what we have to do? We have to define it. So I am defining this macro, and this macro should have in here all the declared methods. Okay, so I will copy paste here the methods that I want to develop in C file. In this case, this is a string, this is a procedure. Okay, first of all, this I can call it question, because the first parameter here it's a question, and the second one it's the answer of the user. Okay, this is a string, so we are working with in here we are working with pointers, so we can get the answer inside of the other file. Float, this is also the question that will be presented to the user, and this is the question too. Okay, now we have three methods that are defined, so we are going to code all these three methods. We have to delete that and put the brackets. Okay, and now we have the three methods, but we can only do this if we called methods.h. okay, because we have to import, we have to include the file method.h. okay, so we are saying that here we are coding the things that in here are declared. Okay, so get string, let's see. First of all, we have to show the question. We can show the question with a put s. Okay, in this form we are showing the question, but if we are using put s, we are using string. So let's import also the library string.h. Okay, in this way we are importing the library that works with strings. So we could put s, it's put string, so this is like a printf, only it works only for strings. Okay, so in this way we are showing that question on the console. After this, we have to read the answer from the user. We can use we can use getS. Okay, it's the normal way that I used to teach my students in class, but for this video I am going to use another thing. So it is getS here, but for this video I am going to use fgetS. It's another instruction that can wait for the user to enter one answer to our question. We can save the text that the user inserts in our question to this variable called answer. The second parameter that this function needs, it's the size of that string. Okay, we'll talk about this in just a second. And the third parameter is standard input. Okay, this is the keyword. We can use this if we include this library here, standard input output. Okay, the second parameter here is the size of the string. We should declare one macro that define the size of all strings, for example. So here I could define max string size and I will put 51. Okay, so this kind of string here, okay, the max size of that string will be 51 characters. But how can we say why I put 51? So it's 50 useful characters plus one terminator character. So the last character that a string has should be every time this /0. This /0 is the terminator character. So every string, the last character that every string has, it's a terminator character. So if one character is for terminator, we need to reserve another X characters that we want. In this case, I will reserve 50 characters, 50 useful characters, plus one to the terminator character. So using these fget functions, after we write this question on our console, the user will answer that question, and the text that you wrote, that you write, it will be saved in this, will be stored in this variable here. After that, we just need to clear the memory of the keyboard, so the character enter is not saved anywhere. So we use fflush standard input. Okay, to get float, in this case we just need to repeat the question, so put s question, the question appears on our console. In this case we will need a variable that is a float variable. I declared one res means result. Okay, so after that we write scanf, and then we stored this float value, so we put %f, and then we are storing this value in the memory address of this variable, so we are using this syntax. After that we delete the enter key, okay, and then we return the value that in this case is the float value. So the user reads the question, he answers with scanf, and then the value that the user inserts, it's returned here. So we can copy this to the integer, but here we just need to change our data type. Here it's an integer, %d it's an integer also. So now we have three methods, two functions and one procedure that we can use to ask for a string, ask for a float, or ask for an integer value. So our first module is complete here. Okay, now we have to define a data type to represent a book containing the following characteristics: ISBN, title, author, and price. So we need another module. I will call it book.age and book.c. Okay, now here we have to define the macro, book age, and then if here. After that, define macro. Okay, it's done. Now we have to create a structure, a new data type. Okay, define struct, and our struct, I will call it book. Now we have ISBN, this is a string, so ISBN, we'll use the same macro here, but to use this we need to include methods.h. Okay, now we can use this macro here. So ISBN will have 51 characters, or 50 useful characters. After that we need title. Title, it's also a string. And after that, author. Okay, now we have three strings. Now the fourth will be price. Price will be a float. Okay, and now we have this exercise done. We have our structure that is called book. After that, we need to create an enumerate. This will be called state, and we'll have only two values: one for a book that is available, and two for a book that is requested. so not available. To define enum, we need to type def to define a new data type. We'll call it enum from enumerator. And now we are calling available and requested. Okay, now we have to assign a name. So I will call it state. If you define an enumerator like that, available will have the value 0, as you can see here, and requested will have the value 1. But in our exercise here, we know that the value 1 should be for available and 2 for requested. So here we have to say that available will have the value 1. If available will have the value 1, requested will have the value 2. Okay, and now our enumerator is done. Now we have to update the book structure to contain the state. So we just have to state, because this is a new data type. So we can declare one variable that is from that data type. Okay, and this variable will have just two values, two possible values. Value number 1, that means available. Value number 2, that means requested. Okay, now we have to develop the following procedures: create book and print book. Okay, we have to declare those procedures here. Okay, void create book. It will receive one book here and it will receive another book here. Oh, okay. This book, it is a pointer. And why is it a pointer? Because in this procedure here, we are going to create a new book. We are going to modify the values that are inside of that variable. So if we are modifying the values that are inside of this variable, we need a pointer, because we need to work on the memory address of this variable. In this case, in the second procedure, print book, we are not modifying anything. We are just using the information that this book have to print that information on our console. So here we don't need a pointer, and here we need a pointer because we are changing the values that are inside of that variable. So we are in book.age. Now we are going to code to develop these methods in book.c. Okay, so first of all we need to include book.age. Okay, so we can use this, but in this case we are also gonna need another library. We are going to need standards input output.h. Why? Because we are going to use printfs and scanfs, and this is the library that gives us those functions. Okay, so we use book.h to import all this information in this file, and we are using include standard input output.h to include printfs and scanfs and all the functions that could help us to get the informations that we need. Just take a look. We are using this syntax when we create the file, but if the library is already created, we use these two signs. Okay, be very aware of this syntax, this different syntax. Okay, so to create a book, first of all we are going to use those methods that we already did: get string and get float. Why? Because we have 3 strings, okay, for the book. So get string. First question, we need the ISBN. Okay, this is the question, this is the sentence that will appear to the user. And now we want to save that answer in which variable? In ISBN. Okay, so this is a pointer. How can we get the information of a pointer? We use this syntax, this arrow here, book, arrow, ISBN, and we are working on the memory address of this variable. Okay, Now, after ISBN, we have title and we have author. Here we put title and here we put author. Next, we have price. Price, it's a float, so we can use the function getFloat. Price. Okay, and the function getFloat returns a float value. Okay, it only receives one parameter and returns one float value. So the float value will be book arrow price. Okay, and now we have the price of the book. But how can we get sure that the price will be a positive value? We cannot put that book with -€2. This does not make any sense. Okay, so we need to do a loop. Okay, and this loop will repeat while book price will be less or equal to 0. Okay, while the price of the book is equal or less than 0, we are going to ask the price again. But after we get the price, we need to check if that price is lower or equal to 0. If this is true, we just show an error message. Error, price should be positive value. Okay, and now when we get to the line 14, we know that the price is a positive value and the value make all sense. Okay, now we have to ask for the state. State is an integer value. So if it is an integer value, we should get int and we ask for state. But we have to say to the user that the state could only have two values. Available, it's number 1, and 2, it's requested. Okay, and this is our answer. And this answer will be stored in state, in book arrow state. Okay, this is the way we can get the answer to fill in that the book is available or requested. Okay, after that we need to check if the user inserts the correct value. How can you do this? With a while. Okay, we could do with a do while, but in this case, just to be different, I will use a while. Okay, now book state it's less than 1 or book state it's bigger than 2. Because if it's less than 1 or bigger than 2, the value does not make any sense, because it should be only 1 or 2. Okay, if this condition is true, we should print an error message. State should be 1 or 2. Okay, this is the error message. After that, we need to get the state again. Okay, we ask for the state again. Okay, just put 1/n here and here 1/n to give it an enter after the string. Okay, and this is the way we can create a book. This is a pointer, and this variable here will have all the values that the user inserted here. After that, we just need to print the book, to show the book. How can we do that? Printf ISBN, first is a string, so %s, and then /n to give it an enter. After that, we put book ISBN. Look, here it's not a pointer, we use a point or a dot. Okay? When is a pointer, we use an arrow. An arrow here. Okay? If it's a pointer, we want to change the value of that book, we use an arrow here. If it's not a pointer, we don't want to change the value of this variable, so we use a dot. ISBN, title, and author. Okay, now we have the 3 strings. After that, we need the price, printf price, and the price will be %f, but we want just 2 decimal cases. We put 0.2.2, okay, and we put here book.price. Okay, now state, but state is an integer value, but we don't want to show 1 or 2. We want to show available or requested. How can we do that? We will have to create another function. Okay, I will create a function that will be called show state, and it will receive one state. Okay, and what this function will do? This function, we can put it here. If state is equal to 1, okay, we are going to printf available /n. Else, because it only could have 2 values, we put requested. Okay, and after the state here, we just have to call this procedure here with the value of state in the parameter. Okay, and this is a printf state, and then it will appear available or requested. So our book, our module for books are concludes. After that, we need to ask for the user how many books he wants to create. So now we are going to main function. Here we have to include methods.h. We have to include book.h, and we are going to work with strings, so I will include just now string.h. Okay, this is libraries that already existed, and this is modules that we just did. Okay, first we need to ask the user how many books he wants to create. So we are using get int from methods. Okay, what is the question? How many books? Okay, and this is a question, so int num books. Okay, and now we know how many books he wants to create. After that, we need to declare one array of books. So book, I will call it books, and the size of this array will be num books. Okay, it could have 3, 5, 100 books. We don't know. Okay, the user decides that. After that, what do we need to do? We need to collect data relating to those books. To collect data, we need to do a loop. Okay, this loop should start with 0 because the first index of an array, it's always 0. Now we have to go to all the positions in that array, and we have to go one by one position. After that, we want to create one book. To create one book, we just need to call this function here, create book, and here we put the memory address of books index I. Why? Because here we have one book, each of the books that we want, and we need to send to create book the memory address. Why? Because we want to change the values inside of this array. Okay, this memory address will be sent to this pointer here. Okay, so after we create the book, what we have to do? We have to display the book on the screen. Okay, to display, we do the same thing. Okay, but we don't want to create the book. we want to print the book. Okay, but now we are not using one pointer, so we will not need the memory address of the book. We just need to call it just like this. Now, we have to prevent the books with the same ISBN from existence. So, if there are two books with the same ISBN, the program should not allow it. So, how can we solve this? After the book is created, we have to compare that book with all of the others that already exist. Okay? How can we do that? We can create another loop. Okay? And this loop will start with 0 because we don't know in which book we are. And now we are going to I. Okay? If we are in third value, in third book, we just need to check from the 0 until 2. Okay, we don't need to go further than that. Okay? We just need to compare the book that is created here, okay, to the book that already were created, okay? So here, what we have to do, we have to compare, and to compare strings, we use this function here, string compare. And what we have to compare? We have to compare the book that were created here to the books that already were created. But, okay, this cannot be done. Okay, we are going to declare one variable here, and I will call it B, just B. And here we are going to create one book that is called B. So, because if the book created here is duplicated, the book should not be inside of this array, should not go to this array. If the book is different, the ISBN is different from all the other books, and then at that time it should be inserted on the array. How can we be sure? We have to compare the strings. We have to compare b.isbn to books j.isbn. Okay, and if that value is 0, we know that we get a duplicated book. So if it is 0, those two strings, ISBN and ISBN, are equal. The book that we created just now, this ISBN, it's equal to a book that already existed inside of this array. And then, if those two values are equal, the return value of this function string compare, it's 0. So if it's 0, we show an error message, error duplicated book. Okay? And after that, we have to say that it is not possible to insert that book inside of the array, and we need to create another book. So how will we do that? We will create one variable, okay, here, and while this variable, it is called a flag variable, okay, while this flag is 1, okay, while it's 1, we are going to create the book. Okay, and after we create the book, we don't know if the book is duplicated or not, we put the flag to 0. Okay, and after that, what do we need to do? We need to check if it's a duplicated book. We check this comparing the book that we created to all of the other books that already were created. So if we get inside of this if, we put error, this flag, we put it to 1. Okay? So this loop will only end when the error is 0. 0 means the book is not duplicated. Okay? And when we get to this line 25, what do you know? We know that this book here is not a duplicated book. So this book can be inserted on the I position. Okay, and here we are inserting this book here that were created inside of the array. Okay. Okay, now let's test our program. Okay, we need to open one terminal window here. Okay, desktop. Okay, we are in the correct. Okay, now we can see GCC. This is the compiler. We want to create one text executable file, and we are going to compile main.c, methods.c, and book.c. Okay, it's compiled. Now we are going to test our program. How many books? I want 3 books. ISBN 123 123. Title A. Author 1. Price -9. Error, it should be a positive value, so I will put 12. Okay, state, I will put 5. Error, it should be 1 or 2. I will put -1. Error, okay, the state is functioning correctly. I will put 2. Okay, now we are in the second book. Okay, I will repeat the ISBN 123 123. Okay, no error, but let's test it. Title A, author 1, price 10, state 1. Okay, duplicated book. Why? It is comparing this ISBN to the first ISBN. So it is giving me a duplicated book. So yeah, he was asking me again for the second book. Okay, I will put 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, and 3, 2, 1. Okay, title 2, author 2, price 50, state 1. Okay, now we are going to the third book. Third book, I will call it 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. So it will be a duplicated book again. Title 3, author 3, price -3. Oh, an error. Price 0. Oh, another error. 40 or 30. And available. Duplicated book. Okay, because we duplicate the ISBN here. So now I will enter an ISBN that was not in any book. 321, 321. Title 3, author 3, price 20, state. Okay. All the books were inserted. Title A for the first book. Title 2 for the second book here. And title 3 for the third book here. So all the books were inserted. We worked with structures, we worked with enumerators, we worked with pointers, we work with strings, we work with modules. Okay, I hope all of these concepts are just a little bit better after you see this video. Take care and goodbye.